Wanted to do. Good morning, everyone. I forgot to hit, it's been a week, so I forgot to hit the countdown. We're a couple of minutes late. I also, for those of you that are out there joining us, I had the meeting or the LinkedIn event for 9 a.m., and it's always at 10 a.m. It's been a crazy week. So I'm super excited that we are ending this week with an amazing guest today on Coffees with Denise with Deanna Russo. So I'm so excited that she's here, that we get to spend some time with her. So I want to first welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. Let us know in the comments below where you are. And I'm here in Houston. Deanna, where are you? Where are you at?
I'm in Northeast Ohio.
Ooh, it's kind of chilly there right now, isn't it?
Little bit. It's chilly, it's rainy, it's miserable. Yeah, it's spring.
Great, great. Well, I'm not gonna spend any time introducing you myself because I think I would probably do you an injustice. But I do want to share how we kind of met here on LinkedIn, and we've actually been. I didn't look, but we've been connected for a while now. I would say
Yeah,
2 years.
at least 2 years, just about. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And you were one of the first people. I don't really know how the connection occurred, but you were one of the first people I started to engage with when I first joined LinkedIn. And I don't know, there's just something about Deanna. I know well, so there's something about Deanna, her energy, her excitement. I mean, she's got amazing knowledge and expertise in areas such as LinkedIn. We'll dive into that in a few minutes. But more importantly, there was just something about her. And then we connected even more so in the SCN network, which is the Success Champion Network. So we had some opportunity to get to know each other a bit live there. And, I just think that she's an amazing individual. And for those of you that don't know, my platform's been always about sales, AI, and humanity. And, I have a live that is all sales related, one that's all AI related, and this one on Fridays is all humanity related. And as good a human as Deanna is, I wanted to share her with everyone in my network and have an opportunity for us to learn more about her. So, Deanna, take it away with your own introduction so that you'll do a better job than I would.
Thank you so much. I don't know if I can live up to all those words. I really don't. Honestly, it's so awesome that Denise invited me here. I am super excited to be here. It is all about bringing out the human in people. Like LinkedIn is a B2B platform. Everyone says it. It's business to business, but it's also human to human. So it's H to H. And I'm all about making sure that people understand that we are not just profile images. We are not just pictures. We are real people that are on the other side of our profiles on LinkedIn. And it's all a big networking event. That's what LinkedIn is. It's about getting to know people through the profile, getting to like people through the conversations and the comments, and getting to trust people through the content.
I agree. I agree. I mean, I couldn't have said that even better. Which, I mean, if you don't follow Deanna, you need to do so. We'll talk at the end how to do that more, how to actually find her more easily. And I've got her scroll. If you look at the scroll on the bottom, I've got her LinkedIn handle down there. But if you don't follow her, you need to do so because she does talk about all humanity, which is totally in line with the subject matter for this. When I talk about humanity, it's really getting to know these people that are my guests and people like Deanna, but she really does live this humanity model, right? This is her everyday life in the way that she shows up and commits to her content here on LinkedIn, building those relationships. So maybe share a little bit with everyone about what you do here on LinkedIn, because that is where I think a tremendous value lies in following you and getting to know you a bit better.
My journey has changed a little bit, and since I started becoming more active in 2018. So in 2018, I was in a sales job for a small IT startup, and I was talking a lot to job seekers. I was talking a lot to HR managers. And then when I started my business Leverage Up, It was March of 2020. And raise your hands if anybody knows what happened in March of 2020. I mean, yeah, it was COVID. And who starts a business as COVID's about to start? This stupid person right here. I mean, like, it's just the way it worked out because I did all the paperwork leading up to it. And then all of a sudden, everything shut down. So I tell people it wasn't the most ideal time for starting a business, but it wasn't a bad time for starting a LinkedIn centered business because we were all stuck at home. We couldn't go out to all of the events. We couldn't go out to in-person stuff. And so people were coming to LinkedIn back in the day and saying, what do I do with this? So that's where I pivoted from job seeker focus to let's see how we can make LinkedIn easier and more user friendly and just simpler to understand. And so in the past year or so, I've changed it a little bit to just think about LinkedIn as a big networking event. If you change that scope in your mind, then you kind of understand what it's all about. My content really is about showcasing what is the right way to do LinkedIn and what is the not so right way to do LinkedIn. And then I mix some of my life in there. I mean, I was able to go back to a church that I was going to for the majority of my childhood and walked in, and it was just amazing. So I did that post on the day after Easter. So I mixed some human side into it. I've done posts about rock concerts that I've been to. It was 24 hours of my life going to multiple rock shows. I've done posts like you name it, Buffalo Bills. Like there's not too many people on LinkedIn that have the Buffalo Bills logo front and center on their profile, and that would be me. But yeah, there's some rhyme and reason that go along with my content. I try and keep it LinkedIn focused in some ways, but then there's also like, this needs to be Deanna too. So it's a little bit of everything.
Well, and what would you say? Well, by the way, so Jeff says, Deanna's one of the best human beings I know. Thank you for highlighting her. Namaste, my friend. Namaste. Yeah, what would you say would be a good mix? I mean, this isn't really all about LinkedIn, but she's got a wealth of knowledge, Deanna does, about LinkedIn. As you heard, she started back in 2018. She launched her company, Leverage Up, in 2020 when she came on, right? Or when she shifted with the focus, with COVID and the pandemic and all that happened. Well, COVID was the pandemic. Sorry. It's a Friday, right? That being said, what would you say would be a good mix for those of us who are really trying to manage how much do we allow people to see that human side of us? What would you say would be a good mix?
I think that it has to be something that you set up. You have to decide what makes the most sense to you, because I could tell you to post 7 days a week and post business stuff 7 days a week, but that may not feel right for you. And so that's why I say take baby steps. If you are so new to posting content on LinkedIn that you've never posted before, post once a week. At least get into a consistent schedule, because I tell people, yes, it's about your profile. Yes, it's about conversations, and yes, it's about content, but it's also about consistency. So you need to figure out what makes the most sense. I run into a lot of people that are like, I just don't need to post a lot of personal stuff. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. You need to do you. So that's why I don't really give like, you got to do this many or this many, or you got to figure out what makes the most sense to you. But I also have been mixing it up a little bit as far as the format of content lately. I found that if you show up the exact same way all of the time, it gets dry. It gets dry and it gets boring and people get bored with it. And so I've been mixing some video up in things. I've been mixing, I make sure my newsletter is front and center once a month. So there's a little bit of like, you just got to see what works. Polls are really awesome. And you can have a lot of fun with polls. I did a poll recently about Coke, Pepsi, or Dr. Pepper. And
that one.
Yeah, I mean, Pepsi like was killed in that poll. Like, poor Pepsi. I just felt so horrible. I went back and looked at all the results. I'm like, wow, people just like their Coke.
And I was one of the very few who voted for Pepsi, right? And I'm not a Dr. Pepper fan at all, but we had conversations in the comments about
Yes,
Dr. Pepper versus the
yes.
tea, right?
Wasn't it fun? It's
It
fun.
was
You
fun. It
treat the
was fun.
comments like a fun like event. It just takes on a whole new meaning.
Yeah, and you actually had a post, I think it was yesterday, about what type of post actually will get you clients.
Yeah, on Wednesday. Yeah, in my newsletter, because people think that there is a magic solution and a magic formula. So I showed people behind the scenes of some of the things that have brought me clients. I've taken you back behind the scenes. And it's really just showing who you are. People just need to know who you are. I did an anniversary post at my 2-year anniversary of my business, and I showed the people that yes, I was excited about it and reaching that milestone, but here's where I need some assistance. So I showed that I can be humble. I mean, that I'm not where I need to be yet, and so the humbleness came out of it. And someone reached out and said it was that post that really brought me to set up a call with you. And I knew I wanted to work with you after that, because you're not just singing the praises. You know that you need assistance and you're asking for it. So
Look, and I always say too that we are always ever evolving. If you're not growing, you're dying, right? And
yeah,
so even the best of us who are, in fact, like on Tuesday, I'm a sales coach. On Tuesday, I'm going to a sales conference with other sales coaches who are going to teach me, where I'm going to be the student, because
right,
I'm not arrogant enough to think that I know it all. I'm always going to be taking in new information and learning, and then therefore evolving so that I can be even better for my clients, or even better as a mom or as a business partner, or whatever role I'm playing. But I
right.
do believe that we have to be, the people that paint these rosy pictures that life is all grand. Yes, it is great, but we have to acknowledge some of the challenges that we are going through, not because we need to focus on the negative, but because people want to learn. They want to learn from us. They want to know that they're not alone. They want to bond with someone that gets them, right? That's going through some of the same things they are. So for multiple reasons, it's great when we take an opportunity to do that.
I'm glad you brought up the L word, because a lot of people are on LinkedIn to learn. A lot of people. And the
Yeah.
other thing that you brought up was relate. We need to relate with you. So if you're talking in lots of acronyms and in lots of technical terms and a lot of like industry speak, then we can't relate with you. So it's about talking to your audience in a way that they can relate with you, just like you were talking to a friend. That's the exact same way that you should write your content on LinkedIn, that you should write comments on LinkedIn, the exact same way that you're talking to people in real life. And so then it's easier to relate to you, and people can get to know you and like you and trust you so much easier.
I agree. And quite honestly, it's not even just about know, like, and trust anymore. Simply, it is know, like, and trust with credibility. And
Yes,
credibility comes from sharing some of your insights in a way that is relatable to them, right?
right.
So I completely agree with you on that. But
Yeah.
I love that we're talking about LinkedIn. I think that we could have an entire session just on LinkedIn, but I want everyone to get to know a little bit more about you. So
Okay.
maybe take us back to, because you got here, you talked about you were in sales in 2018. You've done a little bit of everything. You've done sales, you've done marketing, you worked for a TV station.
I
How
have,
did
yeah, I have a broadcasting degree. I have a broadcasting degree, and I was in the TV news business for 6 years. And I worked overnights for 4 years. I worked late nights for 2 years. I shifted into online marketing in 2007. And if anyone remembers back then, that was really the start of all of the social media and all of the content marketing. And that was really like the beginning point for a lot of companies to start and look at how online marketing is working. And I was really at the starting point of it. And so I actually have taken a little bit of all of my jobs and my experiences over the years and brought them into being a business owner now. I was actually telling someone recently that when I talk about the TV news business, if there's one lesson that I learned from that entire thing, it is how to think quickly on my feet, because you don't have time to think a big, deep thought when it comes to, you got to get stuff in place, and multitasking too. Like, I can multitask as a mom probably better because of working in that newsroom. I mean, honestly, that's really what it's all about. My online marketing, I think that I've been able to write better as a content producer here on LinkedIn because of all of the online marketing and all of the online content that I have been producing since day one. And then the video, like, I feel like on video, it really wasn't as scary for me to press record at the beginning because I was already comfortable being behind and being in front on video. So there's a lot of things that I've brought into being a business owner, not to mention all the sales that I have worked in over the years too. And that makes it easier just have conversations with people. That's all. You don't need to hit them hard. You don't need to come to a call expecting to make a deal. You just want to have a conversation.
Exactly. But I love that you have both a mix of marketing and sales, because they are really two separate disciplines, right? And I think that we tend to think that those who can sell should be able to market well, and those who market well should be able to sell. But the reality is they're using two different parts of your brain. They're two different disciplines. But when we can do that together, though, that's where magic happens. And you, having had both marketing and sales, gives you the opportunity to do so well on LinkedIn, because you can market yourself and sell yourself at the same time, which I think is just amazing. If we could have partner those two disciplines together more often, we could see so much more sales success, which in turn is revenue to the company, right?
Right. There's some overlap. There's definitely some overlap between marketing and sales. They are two separate things. Don't let anybody tell you that sales is marketing and marketing and sales. And there's different aspects of marketing too. I mean, my husband and I both work in marketing. He works in a completely different part of marketing than I do as far as the social media marketing. He's more on the product side. He's more consumer side. So there's really, a lot of people have different definitions of things. And that's where it's all about defining what is actually reality instead of living by another whole meaning, another whole definition that doesn't fit reality.
Agreed. And I think when marketing and sales don't work together, marketing tends to not always live in the world of reality. They live in the world, and I don't mean that negatively, right? It's just their mind and the way they function in the discipline, right? It's marketing tends to come up with these wonderful and great ideas, but it's sales who actually execute on them and are engaging with the clients. And that's usually where the disconnect is between the two, is that marketing doesn't always have their hand directly with the clients. They're leveraging surveys and industry standards and all those other things, whereas the sales teams are really have their hand in every day with the client and get their feedback. When you can mesh the two together, it becomes amazing.
I think there needs to be a happy relationship with both. If there isn't a good relationship between sales and marketing, there's going to be some friction and you're not going to reach that end goal. So there needs to be some meshing. I feel like you're taking two puzzle pieces and putting them together. They have to lock together to make a really good business in the end when it comes to sales and marketing.
Well, you would think most people, that seems logical, right? And you would think most people would know that and understand that. But unfortunately, that's not the case, right? It's still like it's still like we have to meet people where they are, and a lot of people are not quite as advanced as that, and they're still separating the two. Even large companies
Right.
sometimes still separate the two because we have so many different individuals and personalities and disciplines and methodologies. So I agree with you. I mean, we could talk about that, like LinkedIn. We could talk about sales and marketing forever too.
For a long time. I see Deb's comments about chats build bonds. It's really true. If you just have conversations with people, you never know where it's going to go. You never know where the conversation is going to go. You could have one idea at the beginning of that conversation and then it ends, but then like other things happen and multiply down the road. Interestingly enough, this reminds me of a presentation I had in November of last year. That person who referred me to that organization for this in person presentation, we didn't really have a lot of conversations leading up, but we had already built a strong bond before I moved out of the Columbus, Ohio area. And he remembered me. So when Deb said chats build bonds, regardless of where or when you have that conversation with someone, that bond is very strong. And I would not have gotten that referral for that event if that bond wasn't strong back in the day. So you just never know where those bonds are going to take you.
Sometimes I think it's just as simple as, someone who comes out to support you in your content. Sometimes it, just when you think of someone that you might need something from, like maybe someone to come and participate in a conversation, or you need to reach out and just ask them something because they've got some experience or expertise in that area. And then sometimes it builds these opportunities to collaborate. And then even more than that, sometimes it builds these opportunities for immense, intense relationships that foster these friendships and lifelong experiences that we can have together. So, and I've done that. I personally have created all of those here on LinkedIn in my
Mhm.
short time here. I mean, I always, for a while, I had this love-hate relationship with LinkedIn. I've had a sales background, 30 years in sales, but here recently, I've really been all in, and I think I've probably had the most fun. I've had more conversations. And when you have these conversations, you also start to refine your messaging and your go-to market strategy. And, because like you said, one conversation, you come in the conversation with an idea and you walk out with maybe 20 more, or maybe you've refined that idea so you've honed in and gotten better at it. I mean, there are so many things that a good conversation can have
Yes, it
or
really
bring. Yeah.
it can be just the starting point, the starting line of a lot of opportunities. And it can that's why you need to think about all of the people on LinkedIn as potential conversation starters, whether they're starting conversations with you, for you, or with other people that can bring to you. You just never know where those opportunities are going to go.
Now, I agree with you, but I will say the difference that in the conversations that I have now there versus what I had when when COVID really hit, right? So I think when
Mhm.
COVID really hit, I would converse with just about anyone who wanted to talk with me, right? Because we had been isolated. I had traditionally been that sales rep who was out in oh, look, Zoom, or I don't know what that is. I don't
Right.
know what I did to create that. But when before COVID, I was always in the field meeting with my clients. And then all of a sudden, I'm stuck at home in front of my laptop. I don't get to hug anyone. I don't get to have the handshake or have the, coffee talk type of conversation. So I would just connect and engage and have these virtual coffees with just about anyone. Now, in that moment, they served the purpose and they served me well. They did what they were supposed to do at that moment. But I will say that I'm a little bit more now that I have an opportunity to get out and see clients if I so want, or go meet with other people. I'm not as open to, because my time is a little bit more valuable because now I'm more busy, right?
Yep.
But I think that that's okay too, right? I think we are the masters of our time. And
Yes.
we need to decide who we want to talk with and, what kind of purpose it might serve. Maybe you just have this great connection with someone and it just makes sense to hop on even without any true understanding of why. And then
Yeah.
maybe it's because you see a potential to collaborate or you see a potential to build a client relationship. I think that what we do today is a very different than what we may have done in the past, but it's okay. We are the masters of our time. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you don't take ownership of your time and your calendar and your schedule, then who's going to do it? And the same thing goes for your happiness too. If you don't take ownership of what makes you happy, whether it's in business or whether it's in life, then other people aren't going to do it either. So
Yeah.
you need to take ownership of that. You're in the driver's seat.
Well, and speaking of taking ownership of our calendars, you and we have a great connection with our children because they're almost about the same age,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so share with me a little bit about she has two wonderful kids.
I have three.
Oh, three. Sorry, I thought you had. Oh gosh, sorry. One of them I know is into sports because both hers and mine in that are both at the same age.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I have a 9, 11, and 14-year-old. And yeah, I'm like it's pretty ridiculous. I actually sent my mother-in-law my schedule for the next 24 to 48 hours. And all I got as far as a text message back was OMG. I'm like, I felt like saying it's just another day. It's just another
I
day.
know. Well,
So,
what's funny is I'll talk to someone and yeah, I think it was day before yesterday. I had back-to-back meetings. I had to go pick up my neighbor's son because he goes to a different school,
yeah,
but they needed someone to pick him up from his aunt. So I picked him up. We had to go directly into car rider line. I had a call while I was in car rider line. I had to pick up Matthias. Then I had to go and pick up Emma, get Matthias and Jace home. Then I had to run to get Emma to softball. I mean, it was like this crazy day. And for me, that's like normal, right?
it
The
is.
person I was talking to at that moment was like, oh my gosh, how do you manage all
Yeah.
of that? Right.
It's just normal. It's
It
normal. I
is.
mean, who plans a Friday night with like 6 activities all at the same time? I don't plan it. I just run it. Like I'm just running it. That's all. Yeah. I mean, Joe Gonzalez says you are the captain of your life. If
Yeah.
I didn't think that what my kids were doing, if they were having a good experience with it, then I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
that's where it's all about that it's not a work life balance. One thing that Donnie says in Success Champions is a work life cohesion. There is no work life balance. There has to be a work life cohesion. That's what it's all about. So yeah, I'm kind of enthralled by everything that happens here on a regular basis because it's just that's what the life is.
Yeah, and I don't actually use the word cohesion. I use harmoniously managing, right?
Nice.
Harmonious management of. And, when I can remember, and I don't know if you've experienced this, but, there was a time when I didn't have kids because mine are 9 and 14. So I don't have the 11-year-old, but I have a 9 and 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I had been in the corporate world in sales. I mean, I was going gangbusters, right? I could manage everything. And where you said you were able to multitask with your kids so well because of your background in the TV industry and
Yeah.
broadcasting. For
Yeah.
me, I feel like once I had kids, I sucked at multitasking, right? Before kids, I could multitask, but I swear they took brain cells and I could not as effectively multitask, right?
They
So
suck them all out. That's what happens. They suck out your brain cells.
they do. I mean, they
Mhm.
take 9 months of all you got, right?
Yes.
And
Yep.
they leave you with hardly anything left. No,
Yep.
that sounds so terrible. I love my kids. But prior to that, right? I mean, it was such a different life. Once you had kids, you had to manage differently. And when I started my business or when I wanted to start my business, I looked at, and I was so hard on myself because I looked at what I was able to accomplish before when my kids were younger versus what I was able to accomplish now. And I would be so angry, disappointed, frustrated, whatever emotion I was having that day. And what I realized, like content buckets, I actually needed to create life buckets.
Yeah.
So because my kids now, I mean, they take, if I look at my day and I factor in the weekend as well, because the weekends are spent with baseball and softball tournaments, right? They
Yeah.
take 65% of my time. That's a
Mhm.
lot, right? And so
Mhm.
there is a reason why I am not as what I would have defined successful back in the day. There's a reason, because my life is different. My kids back then at, 1 and 4 didn't demand, or 1 and 5 didn't demand as much of my time taking them from place to place, right?
Right. Right.
Very different.
Yeah, it changes. Your priorities change. And when the kids need you as their mom, then you understand that you need to be front and center, and you can still run a business during the day. That's what it's all about. Is I'm running this business during the day, and then the minute they get home from school, there are times where we're nonstop. So yeah, that's the way it is. That's the way it goes.
I know. And I actually, when I started the second part of my business, when I launched my program, one of the things I did was sit down and create a vision for myself that would really dictate both my professional and personal life. And the first part of my vision includes, being able to build a legacy for my kids so that I can spend more time with them doing the things we love, right?
Yeah,
That's so important. We only get one life.
I
You only get
know.
one chance with them at each of these moments in their life, right?
Right.
It's so
Right.
important to take that.
You got to balance it. You got to balance it. And for me, that has meant some long nights sometimes. Sometimes I come back and I'm on LinkedIn at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night because I didn't have the time during the day to get it all done. Sometimes I'm writing up posts that's going to post the next morning late at night so that I can be the mom from 4 in the afternoon until 9 at night. So that's the way it goes. And I know that these days are short because I see the pictures of when they were little. And I know that they're growing up. I've got one that's going to go into high school, and I'm at one. I mean, I can't even just say her name in high school in the same sentence right now because it's still like it was weird going to a cheer meeting and having to write ninth grade. I can't imagine what it's going to be like going through. By the time she gets to be a senior, I'm going to be a blubbering mess because I'm going to think about all of the lasts. This is the last this, or this is the last that, and yeah, and then I get to do it 2 more times.
I know. I don't envy that. So mine is already, so my 14-year-old has an August birthday. So she's
Okay.
already in high school. So
Yeah.
she is finishing out her first freshman year, and it has been weird. Like, she has a boyfriend now, right? And she wants, I mean, she went out on a date. Okay. So let me qualify this. When I say she went out on a date, the other parents, because I couldn't, Matthias had a baseball tournament that day, so I couldn't take them.
Yeah.
But they took them, and the kids sat at one table and the parents sat at another. So that
Yeah.
was what it looked like, right?
Yes.
But nonetheless, she's going out on a date, right? I mean, that's that. I can't believe that that's my kid, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's crazy. We haven't gotten to that stage yet, and we're good. We're not, we're not getting to that stage yet. No,
I don't wish, I don't wish that stage on anyone. My husband used to say he would have a shotgun ready because, our girls are oldest, like
yep,
yours, right?
yep.
And he would say he would have a shotgun. Well, that's not really true.
No, my husband says, I don't have a gun, but I will get a gun and I'll just clean it. That's all. I'll just clean it. Do you want, as he comes to the door? Look, I'll just doing some housekeeping. That's all.
Yeah, they're a lot of talk. When it actually
They are.
happens,
They
they
are.
don't really do that. I mean, Andreas grew up in Germany, so when he moved, and that having a gun there is very different. You can't even shoot a gun unless you belong to a gun club. And here in the U.S., anyone can buy a gun. So he
Yeah.
has a safe full of guns, right? He loves his guns, and he used to say the same thing. I'm going, all I need to do is pull out my gun. He hasn't done that one single time.
They're all talk. All talk.
They are all talk. But I guess we have to live with them, right? We need them. And we love them.
Yep. Yep. That's what it's all about. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Honestly, I feel like it's if you can't do what we're currently doing, then you have to do you. but I feel like I am living a life right now where I am juggling a lot and stuff gets dropped. And I have to make sure that even though the balls drop, that I pick them up and I keep going. That's really what it's all about, whether it's in business, whether it's in life, whether it's with family. So it's just a constant juggling act. That's all. I mean, Joe says harmony. Harmony is defined as different things to different people. And when we have everybody together, we had a trip last week to New York City. And when we have everyone together, we felt that harmony. That's sitting all together and sitting and enjoying a really nice meal. That's what harmony is for our family. So it's defined as different things to different people. But then there's the daily moments where we're rushing and but I actually put my thing when I'm driving kids from here, there, and everywhere is I have to listen to really good music in the car. Some people are all about the podcasts, are all about like books on tape and stuff. I'm like, hell no. No, I need music. I need music because music drives me. I got to find a really good song and then go.
Well, actually, I was listening. I like to jam, so I was a music education major with an emphasis in voice. And
nice.
So I will sit here and turn on my Alexa, play a song, and sing and belt it out before I get on a call, just so that I can get the excitement flowing. Nice. And actually, when I think I'm in flow the most, and I'm in more harmony with my own self when I actually listen to music.
Yep.
Even so, when I'm in the car, I'm like you. I spend my time actually listening to the music or having the conversation with my kids, right?
Yep. One or the other. There's some things that the kids will tell you in the car that they may not say any other time. They may not say in person. They may not say at the house, but that those car conversations can be really good. But they know that if mom has a really good song that she's listening to, they're going to wait until after that song to have the conversation.
My daughter has not figured that out yet because I'm singing away, and then all of a sudden she wants to talk, and I'm like, I love you. I want to have this conversation, but I really want to sing this song.
And I'm really a horrible singer, so they remind me very pleasantly. Mom, you really don't have to sing. It's okay. No, I'll just lip sync. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That made me snort.
Music trivia is another thing. I can tell you when the song comes on in a matter of notes, who sings it and what the name of the song is. I think that if Name That Tune ever needed a contestant, that I would probably be good at Name That Tune. This is something just for everyone watching here. I've applied to Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I applied once and then I just applied another time. I'm very good with word puzzles. I constantly carry around a word search book with me and I'm always doing word searches. And there may be a day where I end up on Wheel of Fortune. So we'll see. All right. I did another video recording, my other video audition. I basically said, well, I didn't get in the first time, so I'm going to do another one.
I love that.
Lie, but here's another try.
So I'm guessing because you share some of your personal life on LinkedIn, when you get that call, because I just know you're going to get that call, you're going to share that with us on LinkedIn, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I do want to go back to something really quickly before, because I want to start to wrap up. I try to do this within about a 45-minute period.
Okay.
I want to go back to something that I think is super important. So we've had some fun. We've learned a little bit about LinkedIn. We've learned a lot about you. We know a little bit more about your personal life, and you and I are able to share a little bit of commonality amongst the fact that we have these beautiful kids who are in the same age and experiencing some of the same things. But one of the things I wanted to, maybe this is the way we end the conversation today, is really talk about how important I think it is for us to give ourselves grace, right? Because you talked about dropping the ball sometimes, because we realize that we are the owners of our time. We're trying to harmoniously balance it all, but we are crazy busy. And when we are, sometimes we can drop the ball. And that's in a moment where you said, you may drop the ball. It's about picking that ball back up and managing it accordingly, right? I feel like, and it's taken me a really long time. I turned 52 in November, and it's taken me until the most recent, probably year to really understand that I have to give myself grace,
Yeah.
and that, it's not always, you are going to drop the ball at times,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
But I
I am
do.
human. Yep, we are all human and we make mistakes. And you have to be okay with making those mistakes. Yep. Yep.
And
That's
we
it.
learn from them. I
Yeah.
think we learn from it, right? Those
Hmm.
mistakes teach us something. Maybe, who knows what that lesson is supposed to be at that moment, and we may not even know that at that moment, but
Right.
it does teach us something.
Yes.
And it also shows our kids, our clients, our husbands or partners or whomever, wives, that we aren't perfect, because the reality is no one is perfect. And this pretty picture that we talked about sometime at the beginning of the conversation about LinkedIn and success, and this pretty picture that's painted by people sometimes isn't really reality.
Nope.
And no one wants to be, many people don't, in concept, they might like to consider themselves perfect, and therefore they might like to engage with and be around people who they think are perfect. But then you set yourself up for some really hard struggles and challenges, because life isn't perfect.
Nope. Life isn't perfect. And there are mistakes and there are things that happen, but you have to bounce back. And you have to, whether you learn the lesson immediately in that instant, or whether you learn the lesson down the road, you just have to bounce back, and you have to, like you said, give yourself some grace, because we're humans and we make mistakes, whether it happens once or whether it happens multiple times. You just have to bounce back from it.
Jeff said to err is human. To really foul things up takes artificial intelligence.
Mhm.
Be kind to yourself. It is really true. I'm the most perfectly imperfect human being that exists. I love it. Yeah.
Yes.
And two, the other thing I would say is when you learn to give yourself grace, you also give others more grace, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because you understand, excuse me, just like you end up making mistakes, other people make mistakes, and you just have to, you I mean, I think if we all viewed each other as humans, I think the world would be a happier place, because we're humans and no one is perfect. Do not let anyone tell you differently. No one is perfect.
And I used to always say, people show you what they want to show you. So while it may, again, look perfect, like we talked about, behind the scenes, you have no idea what that person is going through. And some of
Right.
those people that you think lead this perfect life end up not leading a life any longer, because they are so sad and frustrated and whatever emotion they're feeling on the inside. So I mean, now we're taking it down a really sad path. That's not really the way I wanted to end the week necessarily, but I wanted to go back to this because I do think it's super important for us to remind everyone how important it is for us, as I've learned, to give myself grace in moments when we drop the ball, like you had
Right.
mentioned.
Just be human and just pick up that ball and go with it. Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so how can people find you besides the scroll on the bottom? You'll see her LinkedIn handle below. How is the best way to engage with you?
The best way is LinkedIn. Search Deanna Russo. You'll find me. Deanna Russo one is a pretty simple profile name to remember. And then after that, leverageupllc.com is my business website. I do an email that comes out every other week. I do a LinkedIn newsletter that comes out once a month. The latest one just dropped on Wednesday. So there's a lot of ways to stay in the loop with what I'm doing. And yeah, follow and send me a direct message, and I'm always open to scheduling virtual coffees if it makes sense. And yeah, and talking to people if they want to know how to make LinkedIn less overwhelming and get a game plan for LinkedIn. That's where I come in.
She's the guru of LinkedIn, an expert. You can follow her as well on many audio events. Share with us some of the places they can find you in the lives and audio events.
So there, I stopped my audio room, but there is a live event coming up next Thursday where people, and you'll find the link in my featured section, and the post actually starts with, do you have questions about LinkedIn? It is an Ask Me Anything event that is next Thursday afternoon. It is 1 hour, and I'm just showing up and I am answering questions about LinkedIn for 1 hour. So if people have questions, show up, register for the event, and yeah, I'm all ears to answer any and all of your questions on LinkedIn. So that's what I'm looking forward to. That's the next big thing. Next Thursday, 1 o'clock Eastern time.
Awesome. Okay, so everyone put that in your calendar. Make sure you follow her so you can do that. Any parting words you want to leave everyone with?
Just have fun, and just be happy. If you are not happy, find something that makes you happy. That's what it's all about.
I love that. So for all of you that were out there who stuck with us, who bared with us as the LinkedIn event said 9 a.m., but you showed up at 10 a.m. I appreciate that. That was an error on my part. So I want to thank everyone for being out there. Deanna, I want to thank you for giving us some time today. I enjoyed having the opportunity to let everyone get to know you a bit more. And in turn, I learned a bit more about you. So I thank you for that. For those of you that want to come back next week, we have every Friday, 10 a.m., I have Coffees with Denise. My platform is sales, AI, and humanity. And this really fits within my humanity aspect, which is really just sharing about good people, what they're doing, and just so that everyone has an opportunity to get to know them better. So thank you all for being a part of this Coffees with Denise. And I wish everyone a wonderful weekend and have a remainder of you're the best Friday you can. And I don't know why I'm stumbling through that. I'm on my third
cup. Thank you for having me, Denise. Thank you for everybody who joined us on LinkedIn. Shout out to my friend Jeff Young. He is the LinkedIn guru. That's his name. I will not take his name. But thank you, Denise. If you ever want me to come back, I'd be happy to. This was a lot of fun. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Awesome. I thank you guys very much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. We'll see you again next week at the same time, same place, but on time this time. All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye. I'm going to end this.